We should be live. Give me a second here. So I had everything set up and pulled up, and then my browser had to restart. So I'm pulling everything up again. Normally I have things already shared, but getting everything up again. I think I have some of it. I'll probably have to pull up some other stuff. As you're joining, welcome. Say hello in the chat. It's always fun to see where people are watching from, what you're working on, and why you're interested in this case, MLflow. And I'll talk about the format of the event if it's your first time here in a minute. I'll just wait for more people to join in. And I'm also going to re-pull up the event page, send out a blast saying that we're live. All right. How's everyone doing today? Someone said hello from San Diego. I have wanted to go to San Diego. I have not gone there yet, but it keeps coming up. I would love to go. It was PyCon there this year, because I was thinking if there's a conference there, it's a great excuse for me to try to make it out there. And I hear the food is phenomenal and the beaches. Yeah, I'd love to come visit. Yep, see people rolling in. So hello. Again, I had to restart my browser literally a minute before this, so I'm re-pulling everything up again. So I apologize. Let's get up the MLflow GitHub. That's all probably the bare minimum I need, maybe. Hello. Welcome. I still see people joining in. We'll wait a minute or so before we really go into everything here. I'm just going to pull up. Again, I had this up, so bear with me here. I'm going to pull up my MLflow instance. Also, apologies. Getting over a cold, so my voice it sounds weird in my head. I don't know how weird it sounds externally, but I am getting over a cold this week, so I might sound a little extra weird. Apologize for that as well. Nothing I can really do. All right, cool. I see a lot more people joining in. Welcome, everybody. This is another episode of AI Build and Learn, which, let me plug in my laptop too. Which is a almost weekly series, although we have some holidays, like we didn't stream last week. We're not going to stream next week either because it's July 3rd. A lot of people are off in the US for that as well. And then we stream almost every Friday, and we kind of pick a topic as a community. So MLflow actually came up as a recommendation a lot from the last couple streams that we did. If you were here, we did them around kind of MLOps evaluation and monitoring. So one was Ragus, which is like specific metrics in a library for extracting those metrics around originally RAG, but LLM applications. And then we did on Arise Phoenix, which is a open source project by Arise for doing LLM tracing and agent tracing. And then a lot of people were saying, let's do MLflow next. MLflow has been around for quite a while, but they've actually changed a lot. So if you have used them in the past, or if you haven't used them in the past like year, which I hadn't used them probably in the last couple of years, there's a lot more features in there. And they've been known traditionally for doing like ML artifact management and experimentation management just in the more traditional ML space. And now they've added a lot of tracing features. And actually, a lot of it reminded me of what we saw in Arise Phoenix last week. So we're diving into that next week. And then, this week. And then the next week, we're off for the topics coming up next. Let me know in the chat what you're interested in doing. So the idea, I know not everyone does this, but the idea is that we pick a topic and then you try to spend some sort of amount of time, like maybe playing with that tool. Again, I know not everyone does it, and some people just come and watch the stream. That's totally fine. But the ultimate goal is for me to get people interested and actually play around with the topic or tool that week. And then usually quite a few people, like 3 to 4 people, end up coming on the stream and even showing off their project. So if you build a project, you can show it off as well during the stream. And I'll share a link, actually, if you do want to join the stream today, even just for the discussion piece. But if you want to, you can just discuss in chat. Most people do that. Actually, I'll bring it up in the stream here as well. So we're streaming across on LinkedIn and YouTube right now. But if you want to come on the stream, let me know. I didn't have this up because, again, my browser had to restart. Let me share my LinkedIn. And if you want to join the stream, message me on there. Also, feel free to just stay connected if you want to connect and see the other stuff that we're like these streams that we do. You can find me there. I'll try to keep an eye on my messages if you do want to join up the stream, join on the stream. Let me know. And then what are the topics that you want to do next? Let me know as well. I think there's already been a whole bunch of them. We've kind of covered now a lot of the eval stuff that people wanted. And then I think we'll be going into more generative applications again, which I'm thinking we're going to do like maybe open source generative image models, which would be kind of fun to figure out maybe what the best like state of the art ones that are open source that you can use right now, play around with that, share our findings on the stream, and then going from image maybe to video. And then I was thinking it might be fun to do like text to speech and music generation. Again, I'm going to at least play around with open source ones. Maybe if other people want to play around with non-open source, that's fine. And we could compare. That'd be really cool as well. But that's what I'm thinking next. And then there's some stuff around world models and physical AI simulation. Again, that keeps coming up too. So I haven't posted them yet, but I think that's going to be the next kind of wave of topics. And this will kind of wrap up for a little bit, not forever, but wrap up our MLOps journey that we've kind of done in the last month or so. So everything is also tracked here. So if you want to find the past recordings, but also all the code. So like I always build an example every week. Quite a bit of other people do as well. Sometimes they get merged in here. Sometimes they're in a separate repo. But I try my best to track everything in this repo. So all my examples are in here, and then previous links to the past streams as well. And then upcoming ones get added here as I add them in. So keep an eye out. I'll also post the Maluma, which you probably have been pointed to. So you'll get an invite for the next one. Again, I think that's going to be around like open source image generation models. And then this week is MLflow. I built an example here. So if you do want to poke around, you can do this. Let's actually bring up the MLflow site as well. We can jump into it. Let me know in the chat, has anybody used MLflow before? Let's just pull up the MLflow. So I'll share their site. I'll also share their GitHub, so their open source library or platform, their site, and then MLflow on GitHub. Yeah, let me know. Sometimes there's a little bit of a delay when I talk as well to when people hear it. So cool. Someone said no, they haven't used it before. If you've done machine learning, maybe you haven't used it in production because there's different tools around it too. Someone said learning it now, going to create Nix Flake for it. Is Nix like the I don't know if container is the right word, but that's the thing that like Phlox is built on, I think, right? It's like is it a container? So it's I know what it is, I know the name. I'm just struggling to describe what it is because it's kind of like building a reproducible environment, but it's different than like a Docker container. I think that's Nix, right? And then Phlox is a commercial offering on there. Oh, and I actually see John's joining in. Hey, John. Oh, hello. I can't hear you, but it might be on my end. Let me double check my speakers.
Good, thanks.
Okay, cool. I can hear you now. Awesome. Welcome, John. I wasn't sure if anyone else had joined me because I think everyone else is busy this week. But we missed you last time, so welcome back.
Man. Yeah, I miss you guys too. So.
All right. So people are saying, they're using. And I don't know what Nix Flake is. Is Nix Flake like serving, like a serving container? Somebody said they'll be using it in the future for LLM fine tuning, your eval loops. And then, someone's describing Nix is three things: Nixos, Nix language, and Nix packages. But what is Nix Flake? Is there a fourth thing? I'm not sure if it's a serving thing. So for my example, I actually have mine served in a Flight application, which Flight's like our open source compute orchestration AI runtime that we have at Union. And I actually have my MLflow server is running in an application in my local Kubernetes cluster here. All right. So I'm guessing usually what I do is just I kind of dive in a little bit and show my like whatever the example is I built and show some of the features. So again, if you want to look at their official GitHub, I shared that. Google MLflow. There's a ton of examples in there I'll show kind of the platform, I think, but just to give you an idea. So this, I did a lot of vibe coding for this, obviously. For these examples too, like if you just spend like an hour or something like that on it, like you'll learn quite a bit. That's kind of my goal. And I usually spend more than an hour a week this week because I was sick and had a lot of work. I didn't get to spend as much time as some of the previous ones, but I got up and running and I did two things. I built like a traditional ML pipeline and used a lot of their features for the tracing and artifact management. And then also did that with LLMs as well. So there's probably some features I haven't fully dived into, but I definitely did enough to kind of get to know the platform and what at least some of the really cool features that are there. So I have this document kind of showing what I built, and it has some of the examples. So if you want to see kind of what adding the code looks like, and I can actually show the code like in my VS Code as well if you want. But just to give you an idea, like you import MLflow, you set up a tracking URL. In my case, it's a deployed localhost app inside my flight container, but this could be deployed just locally or commercial. I think they have a commercial option. It's owned by Databricks now. I think they originally created it or they acquired it. So I'm sure they have like a hosted offering as well. So I have my classic Iris dataset example that I'll show what it looks like in the platform. But you start a MLflow run, you pass in your data, what type of models or hyperparameters that you're tuning. This all gets kind of tracked there, which we'll see what this looks like in the platform real quick. And then for the LLM example, I use LangChain under the hood, and they have an MLflow LangChain integration where you just import this, and it'll just auto log any call that it does to a tool or to an LLM, which again is really cool. And we saw this similar to last time. Arise kind of had a similar API to this as well. You can also log like any artifact that you want in the UI, which we'll look at. That could be like images or data sets or models. And there's a separate model tab as well. But just to give you an idea of what it looks like to add this to your code before I show you what it looks like in my example that I built. First, I'll go to the classic. Someone said Databricks CTO created MLflow, but still open source. Yeah, so okay, they created it. I wasn't sure if they had created it or acquired a company that had. So this is the MLflow hosted in my app. You can see there's a few projects here. I'll click on this classic ML Iris one first. And we can see that we have several runs that I did as I was experimenting, like adding more features here. These are all basically versions of models, though, that you can imagine. So if I was doing like hyperparameter tuning here, these are all captured. So I have basically, I'm trying out like 3 different models on a data set and seeing which model performs the best. So I can click into one of these now. So these are kind of like traces within that run, like I'm running 3 models at a time. And you can see that these are all run an hour ago, 18 hours ago, 21 hours ago. And then also notice that we're in this model training tab. There's also a Gen AI tab, which is what we'll look at next for the LM stuff. I can click into one of these. Let's go look at this logistic regressions one. And then I have an overview. So like the scores get logged here of how this model performed on my data set. And you can overwrite like whatever metrics you want to log here, which is kind of useful. And then I can click into model metrics. You get this visual graph. Not super interesting here, but if you had more going on, this could be cool. System metrics, I didn't add any here, but I think you can add like metadata to this if you wanted to. Traces, I don't know if there's any trace feature here that you would show specifically with just the traditional model training, but I guess you could show something here probably, but this is more where the Gen AI stuff comes in. Oops. And then you have this artifact tab. So this version of the run, I saved like my plots. So you can look at like the confusion matrix. I actually saved the data set here. It's lightweight enough in this case that I can save it here. It doesn't save the data set automatically, but what it does automatically do, or they have a feature for this, is it'll hash the data set. And so it knows the version of the data set it was trained on, but it might not store all the values here. But you'll see, I'll click on it later, but it does like a hash and it extracts out the columns in there so you can see like what the features were. Per class metrics, these are just a bunch of the different things I stored here. You could store the model file directly here in here as well. I put like SHAP values to get the feature importance. So this is really nice. Again, if you've done machine learning before, but you haven't done a lot of stuff around like versioning and monitoring of specific hyperparameters, or you have, but it's kind of just been ad hoc locally. This has a lot of features that make it really easy, kind of out of the box. And if you're doing something in production, you should have some form of this in some way, so you have all these versions and runs that you can come back to. And then they have these specific like model tab. So in this case, I'm also saving the actual model files into this model tab here. And then so you could click in, you get all that data kind of that we looked at already. And then this is where the actual model file lives. So you could pull this down into like a script and get the specific version. And then I haven't messed around with this too much on this run, but when I've used MLflow previously years ago, you can then give this like versions. I might mess this up here, but you could say like, you know, this is a good one, this is a good one, or like let's ship it to prod, or I don't know, give it something like Iris one, register it, and then this becomes like a model that's registered. And so if you have like team members working from the MLflow environment as well, because like you can track everything here, they can go pull in those artifacts. You get a little bit of tracing around, seeing like this kind of basically is approved in a way. And then you can do these things like promote model. So you can give it like a basically a different tier, saying like this is version 2 now, like maybe we want to deploy that. So you get kind of this like artifact management that you can use across teams here, which is kind of nice. And that's in a nutshell kind of the traditional stuff, which again I've kind of used before. I think I saw more people join in and maybe the chat's more active. Has anyone used MLflow or anything like this in the past? Kind of curious. And one reason why I haven't actually is because since I work at Union and we have Flight, our open source, which is like our orchestration thing, but it has a lot of stuff baked into it. Oops, I remember I had to restart this. So like I kind of have forgotten, or not forgotten, but I take for granted a little bit of just everything when I do runs. Like this is a training pipeline run that I did in like Flight, and everything gets versioned here, like the inputs and outputs. And the same with the reports. So I can come back and see like, this was my training run here. This is my evaluation report. And then artifact management happens between all these steps too. So I can just go pull outputs from all these different tasks and everything gets logged here just automatically without me really thinking about it, because it's like built as an ML platform that also manages compute, but you get all the versioning. Artifact management is just built in. And I've kind of had to stop thinking about what other tools I would use for it. So that's why I used MLflow before joining Union, and then I've kind of like stopped now a little bit because so much of it's kind of baked in. Cool. So other people said nope, and then somebody said they had been looking at securely transferring models from Hugging Face to MLflow using MLflow as a private hub. That makes sense too. Yeah. So because Hugging Face has a really good repository management as well for open source models, but you can have your own private ones as well, but then it's still stored in their cloud. So I assume as a private hub, this is like the model stored on your compute that you want to use MLflow for. And somebody else said not like this, but would make these on notebooks. Yeah, so you can use MLflow from a notebook as well, actually. So if you're doing like data science stuff or ML stuff and you're just running from a Jupyter notebook, you could still use all the code like you saw here and log out the artifacts and images and stuff, so they'll get saved and versioned in the MLflow area. So I said another thing is to use MLflow with MLX core AI in Python and Swift. I haven't used, I mean, MLX is like the Apple's Metal environment, I think, right? And you can also, yeah, I mean, if you're, so I actually did training for these runs, actually ran them locally, although on my Flight dev box, which is running locally though. But you could run this directly on like the Metal, I think. Someone else said they had used it for educational purpose. The model concept in MLflow has grown to include a combination of model plus prompt plus config, which can be together registered and prompted as you did earlier. Yeah, and I just showed the traditional one. So if I go in and now click on this LM agent tracing one, they've really expanded. Like I was saying, I hadn't used them in quite a bit. So now this is like a Rise Phoenix. I didn't know they had this feature until people were mentioning that we should do this last week. Someone said, what do I think about the differences? Oh, Flight versus MLflow. So I mean, they're pretty at the core. They're two pretty different products. Like MLflow in this case is all about just logging those different things, like tracing and stuff like that. Flight is actually about compute management. You just get the stuff built in, but the SDK for this is like you create a task environment and you declare the type of compute that you want, like how many GPUs, how many CPUs in here, and it'll orchestrate that compute for you. And then on each run, it'll also version everything. So by default, you get all this built in a project. So you see all these different runs for each pipeline. So very similar to like the MLflow artifact management piece, but you have to be running basically like you would be using Flight to do your orchestration or your like AI runtime. Like you want to run the stuff in there and then you can do this. MLflow is just a separate ML logging environment. So I guess really it's like you probably wouldn't use Flight, at least in the current state right now, to just do like the monitoring piece here. But if you are already using it or you want to use it for your orchestration, like managing your compute resources and secrets and container building, because it does all that just in the Python SDK, then you get all this stuff out of the box and maybe you wouldn't need MLflow. But I think that the core, they're pretty different products. Just a lot of stuff is built into the Flight ecosystem. So they load notebooks via Cursor usually. Cool. I haven't used Cursor for notebooks. Does it do a good job editing them? I know Claude and stuff now does. Back in the day, I feel like they kind of sucked at editing notebooks because it's just so much like JSON basically that they're editing. All right, so I'll click into one of these. So this is the LLM side now. So we kind of explored the model training side, which is more the traditional piece. This is the now Gen AI LLM/agent side of things. And you can see there's a little dashboard, shows like how many traces were run on each day, the latency, if there were any errors, token usage, token per trace, all kind of cool stuff to have. They even have this little cost over time. If you're using like the LangChain, they can see which model that you're running, like OpenAI, for example. And so try to estimate this cost. All stuff that we saw in Arise last week, actually. So again, they've really kind of added all these like features in that that we saw. Like I didn't know they did this until I was poking around with it this week, which is pretty cool. Then you go to traces. So traces are like each time you do a run in here. So I'll open up this one. I know has a couple things going on. So this is like a little research agent that I did. It says OpenAI was called. Again, this gets from the code I showed here. Basically, it just set up with this MLflow LangChain autolog because that's what we're using. So lost my tab. It'll log each call to either a tool or a chat completion, like a OpenAI in this case. So you can see OpenAI was called, and it says research this topic, provide a comprehensive answer. What is MLflow and how does it compare to other ML tools? And then we see that this web search tool was called. So it did a little research here. And then we did another one. So it basically did 2 web calls. And then we had a final output, or sorry, I guess it just has outputs. And these are the outputs from all those different tool calls that we saw. So this is the final output that we get. This is MLflow. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but summary of what MLflow is and how it compares to some of the other packages out there. If I click in to another one, this is just like a single call here, but basically you're getting those inputs and outputs. And then you can actually see I have this little assessment tab on the side here that says, like, there's all these check marks here saying true for these metrics. So you can actually do evaluations directly in here, kind of like what we saw with the Rise Phoenix last week too. It says factual tone, correctness, relevance to query, etc. A lot of these are custom ones, but there's a few pre-built ones, which I didn't dive into how they prompt them. Like Ragus had really good prompts for it. I'm not sure if this one does. Maybe we can find out here. But this does allow you to add custom ones as well. And if I click in to the evaluation run, you can see I ran these on these traces, and you get this little dashboard with, again, these are like LM as a judge metrics here. So conciseness, factual tone, relevance, safety. What was this one? substantive answer. You can see you get this in a little dashboard, which is kind of useful as well. True, pass, or true. So passed, fail, pass, or these are like, it could be a Boolean, which is why this is true or false, or a pass fail type of thing that you add in here. And if I go look at this judges tab, this will show me all the judges that I had created with the API and the code. Kind of gives you a example of what the instructions look like. You can also create one, I think, from the UI, but you have to have, I didn't set this up, but you have to have a endpoint set up or use something like your OpenAI key here. So you can actually create one from the UI, though. I did it from the API with Claude. And then you can actually run them directly from the UI as well. Again, if you have the endpoint set up, though. So if I go into this consciousness one, I can hit edit, and I could edit the instructions here. And then I could select a trace that I actually want to run this evaluation on. And then if I had the endpoint set up, which I did not do here, then I could actually run it from the UI and do some like kind of manual evaluation from the UI, which is, again, kind of a cool feature here. I didn't use this review tab at all. So I think this is where you can have like team members come in, select traces, and then probably do review on them. Again, I haven't messed with every single tab or feature in here, and I didn't mess with data sets either. But I think this is like we saw as an Arise feature last week too, where you can create evaluation data sets, and then you could evaluate like a prompt or like someone was mentioning how you can version the model and prompt and everything kind of on one place. Then you could adjust that prompt and then run evaluations on it with that. And I didn't do that for this session either, but it's in here like Arise Phoenix actually as well. They have a playground. Again, comparing a lot to Rice Phoenix because we did that the other stream, and then MLflow came up a lot and people really wanted to do a session on it. So that's why I'm comparing it so much to it. And there's a lot of overlap now in the Gen AI part of it. So again, you could, I think, bring in different prompts here. You can adjust a prompt, probably run this on different traces or scenarios. Actually, do I have prompt saved? Yeah, I have one prompt saved here. So I have, it does prompt versioning now. It's like, this is that one for the research. It says you are a meticulous research assistant. Research a topic below using the available tools, then provide a comprehensive, well-sourced answer. So, and then it passes in that query. So I can now edit this and then do some like evals on it. And you could have, again, I think bring in that eval data set, load that in here too, and then adjust the prompt. So kind of cool to do like prompt versioning and stuff like that this way as well. And there's my prompt that it was versioned. They have agent versions. I didn't mess around with this either. So I assume this is like prompt versioning, but maybe the entire app code. Oh yeah, so track every version of your app's code and prompts to understand how quality changes over time. Yeah, so interesting feature again. That seems pretty cool. Like if you aren't already using something like tracing and management in this way, I liked MLflow. I like their UI and stuff. Oh, and so it said, so LLM as a judge is built in for eval. That's pretty cool. Yeah. So if you go to, I think we can look at the docs. So there's some that are built in. I know I had it in my generated README here, the judge section. Let me find that real quick. So there's a few that are built in. So like you can make your own judge. So this is what I did. We have this like consciousness, make judge, or sorry, conciseness, not consciousness. That would be, we're getting close to the AGI, I guess, if we were measuring that. Conciseness, and then this is just the instructions. In this case, it's very short. You'd probably want to add a better prompt here. I guess this might work for the true or false scenario in this case. But if you're doing more like quality rating, then you would add it here. So this is like creating your custom judge, but they do have some pre-built judges. And I thought I had some of them listed here. Let me see real quick. We could probably look at the docs though and see. So they'll have some out of the box that you can use. I'm just seeing which ones, if I had it listed, because I thought I'd listed some of them. Oh, so here's some of the built-in ones. So correctness. Again, I didn't look at these prompts. it's always fun to see how other people are prompting it, but it's probably just asking it to look at whatever the input is and then the output and compare, like, does this seem correct? There's different ways of doing this. Like in the Ragus stream, we broke down some really cool prompts. Ragus did a really good job of like extracting out entities and rewording inputs and stuff like that. That was really cool for doing LLM as a judge. I don't know if they went as deep in this. Maybe we could find it in the open source and take a look. Relevance to query, guidelines, and safety. So again, we'd have to go look at these prompts and see how they break them down. But those are some of the built-in ones. But then you could bring your own LLM, get the results and log them. So is anyone using LLM as a judge right now in like any projects or anything in production? Oh, and someone brought up a good point. They said MLflow. Oh yeah, actually I could bring up MLflow also supports OpenTelemetry, exporting and importing traces, etc. And that's a good point too, because I think, I mean, they're trying to capture some of the business from the other companies. I think, because I think there's even a blog post that was shared last time about how you could probably just export your traces from like Arise Phoenix and then store them directly inside of MLflow. What do people think so far of MLflow? Was this a hopefully useful kind of like breakdown or showcase of what you can do with it? And someone said, not yet. I think this is in the response to the question of, are you using it? Looking at language models on Hugging Face that are domain specific for LM judging. Oh, for the LM judging. Yeah. Yeah. And that's an interesting, like, I mean, this is just a whole thing that everyone's working on right now. And I feel like the best practices change all the time for this. Yeah, like, there's specific trained LMs that people are trying. A lot of times I feel like right now people use an out of the box like API LM with hopefully a very good prompt to evaluate it. Also, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if people do this. People say sometimes that the best practice is also using a different model. So if you're using like Claude for your stuff, maybe you should try using OpenAI as a judge for it. Not sure how valid that really is. I get it in practice because it's like they're completely different models. I think a lot of times if you're using a lot of prompting to augment how they respond and look at data, it's probably fine. Again, I don't know the latest on the research, so maybe I'm wrong, but it might be fine. Like I feel like I see people using the same foundation models just with a lot more prompting up front. But I get the idea of why you might want to use a different model to, compare and look for something like hallucinations. Somebody said it's awesome. They're probably going to play around with it to learn eval in 1 or 2 weeks. Awesome, yeah. And somebody said it seems to have pretty good coverage and simple and robust over the years. Yeah, I was surprised. Like I was saying, I hadn't really used it in I think 2.5 or 3 years or something like that, and it really changed quite a bit. Even the UI, like from my memory at least, maybe I'm wrong. I think the UI is a lot more slick now too, which is pretty cool. Oh, and because someone else was asking, let me see. I think I have. Let's see. Oh yeah. I accidentally did this one. I kind of liked it where I accidentally loaded Flight directly in my VS Code. I thought that was kind of cool. Someone asking about the difference on like Flight because I was showing the UI for it. So like with Flight, this is the core of it. Like everything's like a task or a trace within that task. So everything does get traced and you use it for agents and stuff. We have people using it. But the big thing is when it does like it's built on Kubernetes. So something's always running in like a container. So it builds these containers for you and does that reproducibility piece. And then you also declare the compute that you want that task to run in. It's like how many CPUs, GPUs you can add here. You can create different environments for like use a GPU in this one, use just CPUs for this one. So if you're like downloading data, you don't want to use a GPU. Has built-in features like caching and stuff like that too. So it's more on the production side of like building the runs efficiently and like reliably. 3 variations of that word. I had to throw out until I got the right one. But then you get that stuff that we saw, like the inputs, outputs. That's just kind of all happens out of the box without you having to do a separate thing like MLflow. So it's more like if you're already building like a modern pipeline on the a modern MLOps pipeline, you want things like caching and everything to be containerized and orchestrating that compute. That's like the big difference. And then the tracing is stuff that you get for agents and for the model building, just kind of out of the box happens. But if you do want to check it out, actually, I'll bring that up too. You can go to flight.org and also check out the GitHub. Oops. But yeah, a little bit of a different use case holistically, and then you just get a lot of the tracking. But if you're not using something like that, you might want to use something like MLflow. The Flight SDK also has cool stuff built in now. You don't even have to have Docker installed. You can just run it and get a TUI. It'll actually do local tracking for you. So you get the traces and stuff in a terminal user interface and reports, which is actually pretty nice. I've used it quite a bit. It's just like for one-off projects where I'm not sharing with a team or I don't need things containerized, and that works good enough a lot of times for like agent debugging for me as well. Oh, and so someone said their purpose is to do fine tuning, which is cool. Yeah, I mean, if you want to do the artifact management stuff, oops, I go back to the classic ML model one, you could check it out. And then you can do things. Oh, so this is the hashing I was talking about for the data set. So in my case, I also saved the data set in the artifact, but it does, it can just hash the data set. So I think by default, it doesn't store it because that could be really expensive if it's like a huge data set, like if it's actually a production thing. But it will hash it on a version so you can kind of get an idea of like which data set it did use, but it would be up to you to either store this somewhere else or store it as an artifact in here. But then it'll have the name of all the features basically in here, and the number of elements and the number of rows. Someone said that I read that it comes with a CLI and MCP server. Would it make sense to create an agent to control an MLflow instance using them? I mean, I'm not sure what would the use case be for there. Like an agent, is your agent like, I mean, if I guess it depends on what you're doing. Like if your agent is an auto MLE type of agent, then you might want to control it. If it's doing runs, have it control like writing it as it's doing hyperparameter tuning or something like that. Otherwise, I'm not sure what the I'm not sure what the use case of doing an agent to control the MLflow instance is, unless it's already like you have a use case for agents and you want to trace that, or you have a use case for the like the artifacts. Another tool too that isn't open source that if you're interested in checking out, we won't do a separate stream on it, at least right now, because I want to move on to some other subjects. I think we might come back to MLOps type of stuff later, especially if people are interested. So actually, let me know again right now in the chat, like what type of topics are you interested in covering? And like, if there's a tool that you've been meaning to check out or a general topic and you haven't had time to do it, again, the idea is as a community, we can dive in together and play around with that tool. And then you can come on stream even and share your project here if you want. But weights and biases is another cool option that does the model training, hyperparameter tuning, tracking, and then also does tracing now. They have a product called Weave that also makes it really easy to do the tracing and kind of all the stuff that we've seen in MLflow, but they have a really slick UI around it too. It's not open source, but they have a really good free tier, I believe. I don't know if they've changed it, but I think they have a really good free tier. So just as you like playing around with something, they're also really good to get started. Oh, someone mentioned Ray. Ray could be a fun one, actually, and a little bit different too. It's on the MLOps and distributed training side, but not like this tracking type of stuff. So that would actually be a cool one. I'll add that to the list. Again, I think we have some upcoming ones that we might not do Ray next, but I really like that as an idea, actually. Ray is pretty cool. I did a blog post a few months ago, actually, on like Ray, and again, some like how you would use it with flight or the overlapping features there too. Just catching up on chat more. Oh, and so someone responded to that one around the agent using MCP. They said that's true. I have been examining using the traces in MLflow to self-improve the agent harness. Okay, so that's kind of cool. I didn't think about that. So you're using the agent to log everything inside MLflow, and then using that as feedback to your agent to self-improve, which is cool. So that might be what the original question was too, and I didn't understand it in that way. So that actually is a cool feature, and that's what you're saying, the CLI and MCP, so it could pull in the data after it's been logged there, I think is what you're saying, and then use that as your agent to self-improve. Yeah, I didn't do this in my playing around with it this week, but I like that idea a lot too. I've done some stuff with that with flight. So again, similar thing, like everything is logged there. You can then pull in those inputs and outputs and look at it and self-improve over time. So definitely really cool use case that people are doing. Obviously, I just haven't done it, and I wasn't thinking about MLflow for that, but that totally makes sense. And expanding on that, they said, in cases where, for example, we create sub-agents for a specific task and we could create monitoring for them on the fly. Yeah, that makes sense. I think that'd be cool. And then you could have if you have your the orchestration agent or something like that, could pull in traces from MLflow instead of wherever you're logging them, like locally. That could make sense. And then you as a person can go back and look at those traces too. So you'd get like a better UI for understanding probably what happened, I think. And somebody said foundation building content. I'm new here, but what interested me is this live stream, or what interested me to this live stream is the way you read a book every month. Oh yeah. So I guess I should bring this up too, since someone brought it up, is as part of the same group. So you probably get an invite at some point if you're on Luma. Is we basically have been reading a new AI book almost every month for the last couple of years. A little bit before that, started as COVID, originally going through a book, not every month, but it kind of turned into this, which is really fun. So this month, actually on Tuesday, we're going to be discussing I guess I can bring it up on the stream, not just in the chat. We're going to be discussing agentic architectural patterns for building multi-agent systems. So you're welcome to join the stream, even if you haven't read the book. Again, it's a usually pretty casual discussion format type of thing. I'll try to summarize like what the chapters were about. I'm not reading it aloud like an audiobook. Some people think that. They come in and they're like, why don't you like read the whole book or something, or even show the book? It's a book club discussion, not a live reading. So I try to summarize like what I learned from it, and we talk about it in a discussion format around just like the subjects. But I know a lot of people don't actually read the book at first either, and you can kind of get a high level what's in there. And usually the code repos for most books are open source on GitHub, so you can check out the code if you want to. But that's what we're going to be reading and discussing on Tuesday. So, and then the next book after that is going to be, it's like RAG cookbook. And then I was going to do building a reasoning model from scratch, this is the first one in the series from Sebastian Rashka, which is building a large language model from scratch. Really, really good book. One of my favorite ones that we read in book club. That's just like, you go through and build a large language model from scratch, just like the title says. Really, really good if you haven't like broken down transformers and you want to build one from scratch. And then they have a reasoning one, which I haven't read. It's not out yet, but that'll be, it was going to come out in July. So we were going to do August, but now I saw it got pushed to August. So we'll probably do that in September. Someone said, would you consider something lower level, for example, like Go operator for Kubernetes scaling or inference KV cache management? Yeah, I mean, that could be interesting. If people are interested in that type of stuff, I could be interested. We could also do a separate potential event around it, if that's interesting. We also did, not an example here. Like, this is a newer style event doing the Friday stream. I really like it so far. But for one of the book clubs one, we did the AI system optimization book. Had a slightly different name than that. But it went pretty, not low level into like Kubernetes, but it did go into like KV cache and kernel programming and stuff like that, which is really fun. So we've done a little bit from books and stuff, but we haven't done a specific event specifically on something like that. But I actually do like the idea of doing like the inference KV cache management would be pretty interesting. I'm not sure. I mean, I would be interested in going deeper in Kubernetes. I'm not sure if a lot of the other people that come to this would be, but I like that idea a lot. Someone said, how about a tool to deal with AI coding slop? Do you have any tools that come to mind? We could research them, or just make an event with that title, and then part of doing the event that week is researching which ones help with that. I know that there's some that I think supposed to do a lot of review stuff. There's one that's Kodo or something like that. Let me find it real quick. If you have another one off the top of your head, though, let me know. Yeah, so this, I haven't used this yet, but I follow the developer advocate, and they post a lot of really cool content. I'll post this in the chat. This might be fun to check out. So I haven't used this, and I haven't looked at other tools. So if you have other ones, let me know. Someone also said, fastest way to get traces in MLflow is with coding agents like Cloud Code, Codex, Cursor, Anti-Gravity, Pi, etc. Oh yeah, I had to think about which Pi was in this case. There's Pi is like it's like open code, I think, right? Where you can give it a model, you kind of get an open source version of Cloud Code type of thing. But Pi also, I've had it stand for like physical intelligence, the company. I think people have also said it for Prime Intellect, which is like a RL company. So I had to be like, which Pi are you talking about? Oh, Code Rabbit is another one someone mentioned. I've heard of that too. I haven't used it yet either. Code Rabbit. So this might be another fun like rabbit hole, no pun intended, to dive down. So this is a really cool topic too. So people have mentioned Ray and Code Slop as topics. So I like them. I'll keep them in mind. I was saying, I think the next wave of ones I haven't posted yet. I was hoping to do that this week, just didn't get around to it. But I think we'll be diving into, at least I'm going to do the open source side. I think I'll leave it open for if people want to check out other ones, like if they don't have a GPU at home to play around with or something like that. But I think I'm going to be checking out on my end, will be like open source image generation models, and then maybe trying, if like I'm hoping to find kind of what is the best state of the art ones right now, and then doing that with like video generations. That's been something that has come up a lot from some of the other streams that people want to do, and just something I'd be interested in doing as well. And then I think I mentioned this before, but tying those together, like we could do image generation, video generation, text to speech, music, and then tying that all together and creating basically like a pipeline that could generate a whole video. Again, I'm thinking more of like a commercial size video, not like a movie. But that's something I've been wanting to do, is like put together a pipeline that can generate basically like a movie or like a TV commercial style thing, like a short snippet, but with all those different things like music, voiceover, video. And then I think it would be kind of fun to rerun that like every quarter or something and see like what is the state of the art and how did it change or over a certain amount of time. So I think we'll do those models for some of the next events, and then that might just become its own event, like every quarter or something, where I evaluate them. That would be kind of fun to do evals on. And Chun said they're evaluating this new tool called Command Center, made by Jimmy Kopel. They do this thing called walkthrough to make code review easier to digest. Oh, that sounds interesting. And someone also said there's something called Code Sense. So what was it? I'll try to bring them up, share them in chat too. First one was Command Center. Let's see. Jimmy Kopel. Looks like they're on Product Hunt. This is the first result came up, so I'll share this in the chat here. We have Command Center. Oops. Looks like maybe another one. Oh, cc.dev. That's a cool URL they got. I guess I'll take this reference URL off. cc.dev. I haven't looked at this. And then the other person said Code Sense. Oh, and that's Colin. Hey, Colin. Didn't even see that was you. Code Sense. I assume this is the right one. Oh, cool. Colin's already shared it. I'll share it in the YouTube part as well. Cool. Awesome tool list we came away with as well. So I'm going to wrap up the stream here in a few minutes. Any other topics people want to throw out of like what they want to cover next? Otherwise, also, I don't think I pushed this yet in the stream, but if you do want to discuss like any of the topics outside of the streams, you don't have to join this, but there's a Slack channel that is on Flight, or open source. I'm just using that Slack group. There's a Slack channel that's like AI and ML, or ML and AI, and I post most of the stuff there. And trying to do, I don't think I did it this week, but doing a thread for each topic. So if you want to discuss live, like as we're working on something that week, or just share resources or connect with me there, or you want to like again request different topics, go join the Slack channel. And someone said before they forget, for those that observe, happy Independence Day weekend. Yeah, that's why I was saying we're not going to stream next Friday, because that's July 3rd, and most people in the US or I think a lot of people in the US are off that day, or on a vacation or doing something. So we'll skip next week. We'll be back the week after, which is, what is that, July 9th? Right? Is that the right date? July 10th. I was close. Yeah, so I'll be posting. That's why they're saying it now. Yeah, because we won't be on next Friday. I'll be posting in the Slack group and on Luma the next round of events. So keep an eye out there. This is really fun. Usually people come up and join the stream here. Like I say, they're all busy this week, the regulars. If you do want to come up and join the stream, again, you're welcome to. I know a lot of people like to just discuss in chat. That's awesome too. I love that as well. But just know that you're welcome to come up and show off your project or something if you do spend the time to get familiar with the project, or just want to come up and join the conversation up here. You're welcome to do that as well. But I get it if you want to stay in the chat, so no pressure to. But just saying, open invite. You just message me, and I'll share that out usually at the beginning of each stream. And then you can also find me on Slack about joining as well. With that, though, I think I'm going to wrap up today's stream. Again, thank you everyone for being really talkative in the chat. Makes it way more fun, I think, for me and everyone else here. Oh, and somebody said for the pipeline thing for media generation, you can look at Pixel Table. You know, I've heard Pixel Table come up a few times. Are they a Seattle company or Seattle startup? Because I am in Seattle and I feel like I've seen them pop up, around here. So this will be cool to look at. Thank you for the recommendation. Somebody said have a good weekend. Yeah, everyone have a great weekend as well. Again, thank you for joining. It was really fun. It was really fun messing around with MLflow and seeing all the new features. Again, looks quite a bit different since last time I had used it. Okay, yeah, this looks cool. Open source Python SDK for multimodal AI. Pip install pixel table. Declarative pipeline. Cool. I'll check this out. Yeah, maybe I'll end up using this for the Gen AI pipeline. Like again, I think we'll do model focus and then kind of combine them all together in a pipeline. And this could be good for one of those. I haven't looked too deep, obviously, yet, but this looks awesome. Yeah, I'm not sure either. Let me see real quick if they happen to say, like in the stream or in the company info or something like that. Or maybe careers. It's always fun to see if people are hiring as well. Yeah, they might say location. I don't think they have. Just member of technical staff. Oh, they have a San Francisco office, I guess. Doesn't mean they don't have a Seattle one too, but yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe they're not from here for some reason. I feel like I had seen them brought up here for some reason, so they might just be San Francisco based. But cool. All right, for real, gonna end the stream. Thank you again. It was really fun. Hopefully, I'll talk to some of you all on the next stream. And again, if you want to stay connected when we're not streaming, join the Slack channel. There's quite a few people in there now as well. And I like to share like the stuff in the AI news channel as well. So it's fun to see what other people share in there. All right, ending it. Thank you again. I'll talk to you all later.